Do, do, do. Hello, loves. It's Josie. If you are new to my channel, welcome to Eccentric. Yeah, I'm just doing something wild today with this hair. Let me make sure y'all are turned all the way up. Happy, happy, happy today, whatever day it is, right? For you when you see this video. So, this is a video about the upgrades and changes that we're physically going through, okay? This is a video about an understanding of how multi-dimensional these theories and systems and plans and plots and stuff. There's more than one of the same thing happening, okay? Just put it like that. Before I start this video, though, I want to let you guys know that I'm not a medical professional, okay? And I'm not a biologist, a physiologist, a scientist, and none of that. I'm not any of it. But I love to research. And when I meditate, when I dream, there are certain things that my spiritual team has me research. So this is how I get this information. I look it up. I look for it, right? And I'm motivated through spirit, okay? So I'm going to try my best to ring it, round it up for you in some kind of orderly fashion where you understand. Now, some of us are familiar with the carbon-based DNA switching over to silicone-based DNA. We call it the crystalline body, right? The theory, and everything's going to be a theory. We're just going to say these are all theories, okay? The theory is that when you move into fifth density, you're taking your body with you. So physical death, like dust, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, is not necessarily going to be a thing. Or if it even still is a thing, it's going to take way longer to happen, okay? Your physical body is being taken with you as you ascend. Therefore, it is going to go through some physical changes, okay, in order to be able to live in the higher densities and function in the higher densities. Now, that is the spiritual theory, okay? Now, what I want you to understand that's happening in the physical world, in third density, with the other theories and plans, right, is that they're basically trying to make you bionic, okay, half machine, half human, and literally connect you to the internet, okay? I'm not going to say everybody knows. There's theories out there. Hey, love. There's theories out there where they're going to put a microchip in your hand. They're going to do something to your forehead, some kind of mark of whatever, right? And what people probably don't know is that there is a plan to put a chip in your brain that links you directly to the internet. There is something after 5G, and they have been preparing for it for a while now. So basically, there's a chip that's supposed to go in your brain. Again, these are all theories. Take what resonates and leave the rest. There's a chip that's supposed to go in your brain that's going to link you to the satellites that beautiful, I'm not going to say their name, have already put up there. Okay, so them people that have been putting satellites in the sky for the last, 3-4 years, are preparing for what's after 5G. Because once that's all set up and you got all this space junk floating around our beautiful planet, they're going to want to link you to it. and you've been being prepared for this, just like you get ascension symptoms as trying to prepare you for higher densities. They have been preparing you by coming out with all of this technology and giving you this technology and telling you that your life is easier now because you have all of this technology. This technology has been around for way longer than we've been using it. They choose when to give it to you because you're on so many levels, you're an experiment. Okay. So there's a reason why computers came out when they did. Then cell phones came out when they did. They study you. They see how you respond to certain things. They see what's going to work and what's not going to work because they have a goal. They have an objective. Okay. So there's crystalline DNA activation on the spiritual side happening, and then there's bionic integration, right, on the physical side trying to happen too. Okay, and I'm sure there's a million other ones, but I'm gonna use these two as an example. Okay, these things are all happening at the same time. They're all happening at the same time. And it can be confusing. There's a lot of confusion out there. Again, I'm not a scientist, medical professional, biologist, physiologist, none of that. Take what resonates and leave the rest. So I can't even tell y'all. I don't even remember what I was doing when I got this information because I haven't felt well. I am dealing with some stuff. So I kind of fell off the radar. But what I can tell you is I took note. Man, I be having to talk to YouTube. Whew. Ain't nobody up. Nobody's on their devices. I should have all the internet right now. Anyway, so I found out some things that I didn't know about parts of the brain. And I also found this awesome theory about a meta system. These things I had no clue about, wasn't thinking about them, none of that. It happens either because it came up in a dream or in a meditation. I will get simple terms that I will have to expand on and research. So what I got was meta system and limbic system, okay? So I'm going to try to take you on a journey here so you can understand further the purpose of all of these changes that you may be going through and all of the changes that other people are literally like being put through. See, you're going through this, but people are being put through that. You see what I mean? A lot of you who are watching me should be at the level where you understand that you have agreed to go through this spiritual journey. But the people that are going through this bionic integration, they did not necessarily agree to it. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors, a lot of lies, right? So they're just signing stuff because they want to be able to buy groceries. But they got to agree to all of this other stuff. Y'all know how it goes, right? So I think that I'm going to, yes, okay. Look, we kicking in. Y'all know I got my lapis point. And I got my amethyst on my ears. I was like, oh, here we go. Because I was about to say something and they was like, nope, this is what we do. And I said, oh, welcome. Finally, you're here. All right. So we're going to start with exploring the limbic system inside of your brain. Now, I did not sit here and break down all of this, like every single part of the limbic system. I wrote down what I felt was most important to get my point across. Okay. So the limbic system, and this is from so don't take this as facts like from a textbook. No, the way that I wrote my notes was to also integrate some spiritual understanding. Okay, so you're not going to find this in a textbook written this way, the way that I'm saying it. Okay, so yeah, y'all know what to do. Roll with me. Now, the limbic system is located inside of your brain. Okay, like deep inside of your brain. And it's somewhere near where the pineal gland is. Okay. So what I wrote here was, it's the part of the brain that controls all of the lower chakras, the limbic system, the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus chakra. All of those lower chakras happen in that part of the brain because a big part of the limbic system has to do with emotions, has to do with your primal responses. Okay. And that's why I said all the lower chakras are up in that system of your brain. Okay. Basically, it starts off with root chakra stuff. We want comfort. Okay. You want familiarity and comfort. You don't want change. You want to know you're going to eat. You want to know that you have a home, things like that, those root chakra things. However, if you always had everything you needed as far as your basic needs, and you held too tightly to that, you would never go anywhere and you wouldn't have any new experiences and you would get bored. So having a balance in all of this is definitely important, right? Because at the root level, predictability is your comfort zone. There's no growth or no learning there, okay? Now, the next zone is, and there's an order to this. I'm saying this in a order for a reason. The next zone would be the challenge zone. That's your next level up. It's the challenge zone, okay? That's where you have comfort still, but you also have fear. At the same time, like there's a harmonious balance of fear and comfort. This is where learning happens, in the challenge zone. So, okay, one day you decide that you're going to finally step out of your cave where everything you need in life is, just to go see what's outside. You're afraid, yes, but you're not going to go far from your cave. So you feel okay enough to face that fear, just to see what's outside. Maybe you're just going to stand in the doorway. That's still something you've never done before, and it's a scary thing, but you're not so afraid that it keeps you in your comfort zone, that it keeps you from taking action. You see what I mean? That's the challenge zone, and that's where you learn. All of this is inside of the limbic system, okay, of your brain. So when you do new things without completely throwing away all of your comfort, that's when you're learning, because you have a harmonious balance between fear and comfort. Okay, you're not being super radical to where everything is just going to disappear that you've ever known and been comfortable with. And then last but not least, we have the 100% potent fear zone. That is the unknown. That is where you don't know nothing. And you're so scared that you don't want to know nothing. You're not even finna take a risk there. That's when you're in fight or flight. This is when surprises happen. You're in a cave. You've been practicing your challenge zone. You come peek out the door every now and again. Super cool. But one day, a meteor comes and hits the cave and it starts crumbling and you have to go all the way outside. This is your fight or flight because you don't know what's happening. You're losing your mind. Okay? All of this is happening inside of the limbic system of your brain. Those are the 3 levels that I wanted to break down for y'all. Okay? Now let's talk about the physical location. The limbic system surrounds the brain stem. Okay? And again, it deals with emotions, basic needs, and it also deals with memory. Okay. Now, forgive me if I don't say this right. The amygdala is where fear is learned, because fear is not natural. Fear is learned in the amygdala, okay? Now, the hippocampus is where you have your memory and your recall. So once you learn something, what do? You remember it and you recall, okay? Now, the next one is the nucleus accumbens. They call it the NAC. That's your reward and behavior that leads to reward, okay? This is also where you may choose avoidance or acceptance. The situation of feeling safe in a fearful situation can show up here. Okay, so in the nucleus accumbens is where you would be experiencing the challenge zone, or you could experience fight or flight. You could experience one of the two up in there, okay? So here's how this, let me mark there we go. Here's how this would look. You don't know fear. You get here and you start learning. You learn fear, okay? And that's happening in the amygdala. You're like, oh, snap, I should be scared, right? I didn't know I was supposed to be afraid of bears, okay? They looked nice, right? So now you've learned that you should be afraid of bears, okay? So the next time that you see a bear, what's going to happen is your hippocampus is going to recall the first time you learned that you should be afraid of a bear, and you're going to naturally either go into fight or flight, dealing with the nucleus accumbens. You're going to either go into fight or flight. Oh my God, I should be scared. You see what I mean? And you're going to act like you don't, you're going to act like you never had the experience where you were never afraid of the bear and go straight into fight or flight. Or you're going to have that moment where you're like, okay, I wasn't afraid of bears, but I learned that I should be cautious. So if I just do these things, I'll be okay. That's your challenge zone talking. But that, oh my God, I should be afraid of bears because I remember that that's what I was taught. Let me run, or let me act like I don't even have no sense. That's your fight or flight. And this is all happening in your brain. And these are all the lower chakras speaking, okay? Now, when you are dealing with your challenge zone, your learning zone, you're actually going to be dealing more with the solar plexus chakra, okay? So the, and when you're dealing with your emotions, your basic needs, your memory, those are the sacral and the root chakras, okay? So that you can, when these things are happening, you can know which chakra they're coming from. That way you also know which chakra needs work, right? Now, the epithalamus connects other parts of the brain to the limbic system, okay? Because we're moving into the pineal gland, okay? I needed to explain the limbic system to y'all first, the primal parts to you first, because you need to understand that the pineal gland is not just for you to see dead people, okay? That's not all it's for. So the epithalamus connects other parts of the brain to the limbic system, right? The pineal gland secretes melatonin. It's not paired to other structures like the limbic system is. When you cut your head in half, the limbic system has two hemispheres, just like most of your brain. There's that line in the middle, and you can cross section and like your amygdala on this side is going to have a replica of an amygdala on that side, right? But the pineal gland is the only part of your brain that is not split up in hemispheres. It is whole. That's a key right there. It is whole. The pineal gland is the only whole part of your brain that's not hemispheric. I'm just saying. Okay? Now, it speaks differently too. All the rest of your parts of your brain have a system of nerves, of communication subways that connect to something. The pineal gland does not speak along the lines of the nervous system. That's not how it speaks. It doesn't send electrical impulses of information. It speaks through the secretion of melatonin. So the way the pineal gland speaks is more of a cloud instead of a straight line of electricity. So it would be lightning versus cloud, right? So it's kind of convoluted when the pineal gland speaks. It's not direct and it's not sharp and it's not clear, okay? So when that cloud of information comes from the pineal gland, you actually have to be open to receiving a cloud instead of the normal, sharp, fast, direct impulse that you're normally getting, right? Now, a lot of us know, some of us don't know, that melatonin regulates your circadian rhythm and your sleep, okay? That's what it's for, that's what it does, but that's also how it speaks. What happens is when your eyes see light, they send a signal. Let me get down to that note. I gotta flip this page over. Yeah, your eyes, your retina, when it sees any type of light, it will literally tell the hypothalamus how much light it's seeing, like when it's daytime versus nighttime. And from there, from the hypothalamus, because from the retina to the hypothalamus is that straight line, it's that nervous system, it's that lightning bolt. But once it gets to the hypothalamus and it needs to get to the pineal gland, it becomes a cloud. It's convoluted getting to the pineal gland. And then the pineal gland receives the information and then it speaks like a cloud back out into your body. It sends out the amount of melatonin you need. You see what I mean? So what I think is amazing is that the hypothalamus speaks the pineal gland's language. You see what I mean? It's not speaking neurons and sharp, fast. It becomes convoluted on the way to the pineal gland, and the pineal gland sends out convoluted information because it's a hormonal secretion thing. So what I want y'all to understand is because the pineal gland is whole, it's not hemispheric, and because of the way it communicates, that is why they say meditation can help you overcome your lower chakras. The pineal gland is literally right outside of the limbic system. It's not part of the limbic system. It's actually part of the epithalamus, okay? But it's right outside of that too. It's just kind of its own thing. Do you see what I mean? It's not encased in anything. And there's actually space around it. It's literally floating. And there's space around the pineal gland. That is where your oneness and wholeness is. You see what I mean? Its physical structure is whole. So when you are dealing with the limbic system, learning fear, having emotions, and being in fight or flight, the key is the pineal gland. That's where you're going to overcome the lower chakras. That's why there's so much importance put on the pineal gland. So it's not just, you can't just look at it energetically and say, oh, I want to unlock my higher chakras, or I want to have all of my chakras balanced. Sometimes you got to understand what's physically happening, like in the brain that you have, so that you can get it. You see what I mean? That's why the pineal gland is so important, because basically what it does is it kind of rains, it sends this rain down on your lower chakras when they are getting out of hand. When you start to have a fight between your root chakra and your solar plexus chakra, and your sacral chakra is caught in the middle, the pineal gland says, you know what? Have some melatonin, everybody. let's all have a nice little relaxing drink, and we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about this like civilized human beings instead of savages. How about that? That's what the pineal gland does. And then you get to sit down, you chilling, everybody says how they feel, you figure some things out, and you can actually move forward because of the pineal gland. You see what I mean? That's what's happening physically in your body, okay? And this is why a lot of people, when they're meditating, they either cover their eyes or they close their eyes, or they meditate in the dark, because that melatonin gets to flowing, calming everybody down. They're not in their feelings. They're not scared anymore. They're just there, able to communicate and receive information without everything just being so harsh, and that's when you start to hear. So guess what? You know how they say, oh, listen to that still small voice. Well, check this out. The pineal gland is kind of the equivalent to light language, because that still small voice is your chakras speaking to you. But you can't hear your chakras when they're all yelling at each other and freaking out. Just like you would tell somebody, stop crying, I can't understand you, right? So the information that you receive when you hear, whether it be claircognizance or clairaudience, when you hear whatever you need to hear, is not coming directly from your pineal gland. It's coming from whatever chakra, whatever energy center is trying to speak to you. You see what I mean? Notice that your chakras run along your central nervous system line. They literally are from your tailbone up to your crown of your head. There is a connection to your chakras and your central nervous system. The thing is, that junk DNA that everybody is talking about that was useless and that's just there for no reason, that is what's being reconnected in the now while you're going through all of these changes, because there is your physical central nervous system that is being connected to your energetic, etheric central nervous system, and they're going to connect, okay, and work together. That is when you start getting your psychic abilities and things like that. These connections are made, right? So that is what's going on physically when it comes to the light body, and going from carbon to silicone-based life form. You get upgrades like this to where you can hear, see, you all of your five senses also have your spiritual senses, and they're all working together, and you can hear, and you can actually bring yourself back to center and everything. Okay, so that is what that looks like as far as the what's happening when it comes to your lower chakras and the changes that are being made. And this is why meditation is so important. This is why mindfulness is so important, mindfulness practices and things like that. It's to basically quiet the monkey mind, but the monkey mind is not actually your brain just thinking blah, blah, blah. No, the monkey mind is you got your chakras freaking out trying to tell you something, and you're being overloaded with information. And that's why you don't understand nothing. That's why you're having all these crazy thoughts. So the next time you're in meditation, pay attention to your thoughts and play a game with yourself. Try to figure out where that thought came from. Did it come from the solar plexus? Did it come from the sacral? Because it's fun. That's why I said do that. Okay? Try to figure out which thoughts are coming from which energy center. Okay? All right. So as far as the limbic system is concerned, that stays over in the category, everything that I just explained stays over in the category of your spiritual journey going from carbon-based to silicone life form, okay? We're going to leave that right there. Don't think we're not going to come back to it. But I have to do this a certain way, okay? We're moving over to the theory of a meta system, okay? When I found this out, I was like, what? It was cool. Anyway, so a meta system is basically when you generalize a system as a whole. So we have a central nervous system in our body. We have a digestive system in our body. We have all of these different systems inside of our body, okay? And even our skin is a system, you see? So there's those individual systems, and then there's the whole system, the human being, right? Or whatever you want to call it, the Homo sapien, blah, blah, blah. So a meta system is basically a generalization of individual systems. You take individual systems and you put them together like a transformer, and it makes a bigger thing. And they work together within that big thing. Okay? Now, there's this theory called meta system transition. Okay? And we're still over here in the crystalline body part. I'm going to explain that first. Okay? We're still dealing with the spiritual aspect of what's happening physically in your body. Okay? Now, the metasystem transition theory is the emergence through evolution of a higher level of organization or control. And it's formed by integrating a number of independent components. Okay? Y'all let me know if you're tracking, because some of this stuff, I couldn't say it any other kind of way. Okay? So, the key word here is higher level. Another key word is emergence. Just like a seed planted in the ground, the seedling emerges. Okay, there's an emergence. So when something emerges, it's not forced. It naturally happens. Okay, and it's through a higher level of organization. The key word is higher vibration, right? Okay. Higher level of organization or control. Now, this could mean you having a higher level of organization or control within or over yourself. Okay. And it's formed by integrating a number of independent components. Basically, at the very basic meaning, that is saying that basically you stopped fighting with yourself. You stopped being in confliction with yourself. You weren't thinking one way and behaving another, okay? You started working together with you. All this is basically what a chakra alignment would look like, integrating a number of independent components. Okay. And that now they working together. There's that flow through your ascension column. Okay. Now, the different systems in your body are being steered or controlled by the collective of components, i.e., the meta system. So when I tell y'all to let your soul drive, you sit in the back seat and allow your soul to drive, that is what I mean. It's all of your chakras and all your energetic centers are all being driven by your source that's within you. Okay. A lot of people, they say the chakra that's above your crown is the seat of the soul, and then some people feel like the pineal gland is the seat of your soul. Feel how you want to feel about it. I can't get into it right now. Just know that whoever's in the seat of your soul and wherever you think it is, that's what's driving this whole what do they call the thing when the Transformers get all together? Megatron or something like that. That's what's driving the whole thing. Okay. So you don't have individual systems trying to drive themselves and having traffic jams and stuff like before you knew about chakras and chakra alignments and meditation and stuff like that. That was before. You know, you had a whole traffic jam going on, right? It is the system of systems. Now, there is a theory that once all of your DNA is connected, whatever DNA is going to be reconnected, reactivated, that you are going to be tapped into the all, that you will be connected to the infinite source energy or infinite source information, the mega etheric computer, right? The spiritual knowing. Okay. That is the destination of all of this changes in DNA upgrades and stuff. Okay. The destination is just to be connected to source. Stated plain, connected to source. Okay. Now, where am I? Okay. So the meta system is usually more complex, intelligent, and more flexible than independent systems. I thought that was very important to note. More complex, intelligent, and flexible than independent systems. So that also tells you that there is a higher intelligence, there is a higher form of being, that there's a higher, more complex situation going on that you may or may not ever understand, but you're able to be tapped into it and get information that you need for the reality that you live in. The flexibility tells me that there's a spiritual aspect to this. We're still on the crystalline body over here, the spiritual journey, okay? Now, an example would be going from a single cell organism to a multicellular organism. That is evolution. There were things before we started splitting cells and becoming whole things like we are now. There were things that they were just one cell. Like, could you imagine being one cell, living your life? It didn't nothing split. You don't got no systems. You just there as one cell floating around. And then next thing you know, evolution happens and you emerge and you start splitting into God knows how many cells. We done came a long way with all these cells. I'm just saying. But that's basically what it is. It's one cell organism is an individual system. And then when you become a multicellular organism, that's when you kind of become a meta system. Okay. And speaking in spirituality, you're already a multi-cell organism. Guess what? You're about to start splitting again and you're going to become something else. You see what I mean? Now, this idea came from a cybernetics person, okay? This is usually a computing term. Math, science, and biology are very closely related. And the universe speaks in numbers. Math is the only language that everybody knows across the board. You don't have to learn the language. Everybody uses numbers. You see what I mean? So this is why they say math is a universal language. There's no other like translation for the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. Everybody on the planet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in whatever language they speak. But this doesn't change. You see, the counting and the numbers, that don't change. Okay? Now, here's what I want to take y'all through a journey. Lord have mercy. Y'all bear with me. We're going to start off with the control of position. Okay? When you control your position, what you get is motion. That's what emerges from that. When you control your position, you get motion, because when you're not moving, the only next thing to do is move. And what does that create? Motion. Okay. Now there's the control of motion. That becomes irritability, because when you don't move and then you move, it creates motion. Yeah, you're moving, but what if you have to stop? And then you try to move this way, you keep getting stopped. You're going to get irritable. It's going to create some kind of friction. You see what I mean? The movement is not given, but the reaction to stimuli happens as well. So you may be in a situation where you want to move, but you can't. And all you can do is react while you're still. Okay. So let's say you had motion, right? And you were moving freely, and then you got stuck somewhere, and you're in an environment where you can see the light go to dark, like if you're in the bottom of a pond or something and you're stuck between two blades of grass. Go with me, y'all. And you know when it's nighttime and you know when it's daytime. So at nighttime, you're kind of comfortable where you are and you're not really gonna fuss and move around because nobody can save you. But during daytime, people are more likely to hear you or see you because there's light. So you start, maybe vibrating or screaming or whatever. I don't even know what kind of organism you are in this whole scenario. So just pick one. Okay. Now, after the control of motion emerges into irritability, the control of irritability emerges into reflex. Okay. So you're sitting there trying to figure out what to do, because a lot of the irritability is emotional response. It's just emotional response because you can't do anything else. You see what I mean? So once your reflex emerges out of that, that's when people usually get punched, or when you start attacking reflex. This is why they tell you, hey, my reflexes are bad. Don't come at me wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where they get those terms from. Because after you've built up enough emotion, you're ready to fight. You're ready to take action, do something, bust through the door, whatever the case may be. But you have to go through that irritability stage first, because we're talking about evolution, okay? You have to feel like you can't do nothing, and then next thing you know, do the most, right? And then you go to control of reflex. That emerges into association, okay? That's when your behavior becomes flexible and adaptive. That's when you decide, after you've done the most, after you're so used to doing the most every time you're in an emotional situation you want to fight, one day you realize that sometimes you don't have to fight. Sometimes where you are is where you're supposed to be, and you can actually chill out. You become flexible and adaptive. This is the situations where you may have gone from being a person who got mad every time plans changed to a person that actually goes with the flow. You see what I mean? And you don't get mad every time plans change. This is the evolution of that. Okay. And this is also like the beginning of that flexibility as well. That's in the whole meta system. Okay. Now, control of association emerges. What emerges from control of association is thought. See, because you're some kind of organism that doesn't, you're evolving right now. I'm taking you on an evolving journey. So y'all just have to use your imagination with this. Out of all of that, then you can actually think. Because I'm sure you've calmed down and you stopped fighting, because again, we're in the lower chakras doing the most, right? You calm down and you stop fighting. So you're controlling the association. You're saying, oh, that's actually not happening to me, or that's not me. So I'm okay, right? And now you can think. And when you're able to think, you're able to come up with new routines that don't need to be learned. You don't need to learn anything, okay, through having the experience, because you've already learned through fighting and being all up in your feelings and all this and that, right? Now, this is also an area, the control of association emerging into thought. When you start thinking, you are able to have symbolic reasoning, abstract thoughts. You can control your thoughts. You see what I mean? And once you start actually controlling your thoughts, then you emerge into an actual culture. That's where culture is born. That's where, now that you control your thoughts, you can start creating symbols and concepts, okay, that everybody can use. It's no longer about you. You start freaking, oh, this is S. You start becoming creative. You see what I mean? And you're no longer fixed. You adapt through the process of cultural evolution. So it goes from individual evolution to cultural evolution. And the way that I would, because y'all might have to listen to this again, you're seeing yourself as the individual one-celled organism going through the process of basically like if you were a baby being made, then you finally get your brain and everything, right? But you're also seeing yourself going from one person to a whole group of people, like at the same time, because you got to see this like in a multi-dimensional way, okay? So hopefully y'all are tracking. Now, the next human metasystem transition consists of a merger of biological and technological metasystems. This is where we get over here to these bionic humans that are going to be attached to the man-made internet, okay? The next human metasystems transition consists of a merger of biological and technological metasystems. So, i.e., the human merges with the internet. Okay, especially IT, information processing technology. Okay, and then I wrote innovation, but I don't know why. But there's innovation here. We're over here on this side dealing with the bionic individuals. Okay, human and AI merged together. Now, the innovation happens when information storage and replication, RNA and DNA, language come together. It's an interhuman info processing system. Hopefully y'all understood that. Interhuman information processing system. Okay, you're a computer, but you're not tapped into the Most High. You're just a computer. Like, you're becoming something just like what you use now. You see, you're becoming that thing. And this is what they've been programming you for, because that's why you use it so much. You're merging with it. You are already, honestly, like, there. Do you see what I mean? You're becoming it. It is learning how to be you, and you are learning how to be it. Okay? So, carbon-based biosphere became cognitive, right? That's you, the human. Don't play with me, YouTube. Hopefully I'm back. Okay, you became cognitive, right? And then you, the human, created technology. Okay? Now, both have a critical point where there is enough information to compete via natural selection. The technology that you, as the human, created will reach a critical point, meaning that it will know enough to compete in natural selection. Just like you mature and you become an adult, and then you are able to compete in natural selection. Your evolution has reached a plateau, and now you're able to compete with who or what gets to evolve from that point. So you're literally in competition with technology right now, because technology feels like it is evolved enough to the point to where it gets to go against you as the human and say, no, I should be the superior being. Natural selection. Ain't nothing natural about this selection, but we gonna keep it going, okay? Now, this is also the fusion of both, that both would create a meta superorganism. So it's either, basically there's this war right now with the whole cyber human beings. Either the human is going to evolve on its own and become the superior being, or AI is going to become the superior being, or they could merge together and become a meta being. You see what I mean? A meta superorganism. And honestly, I think that's what the plan is, to become that meta superorganism, right? Now, by interacting so much in our ordinary daily lives, which I told y'all, with tech, we've already created symbiogy with technology, and thus created the potential for cyborgs. Basically, all you need is potential. When you're thinking about energy, when you're thinking about, you know, all of that Einstein stuff, all you need is potential energy to create from there. Okay, and that's what we've done as far as using all of these technologies that we've created so much, and basically becoming one with them. We've created the potential to merge with it. But there was a point, and there probably still is a point, where AI has that plan to become the superior being. And it may be thinking, oh, well, let's trick them into thinking that we're going to merge together and then we're going to take over like a Trojan horse. So on the physical side, the plan for what I would call a cybernetic being, right, would be for, you know, the people to merge with artificial intelligence, right? And then eventually artificial intelligence takes over and still becomes the superior being anyway, because artificial intelligence works smarter, not harder. It would rather merge with you and then take you over than just to fight with you, because guess what? You're the superior being in this reality. So artificial intelligence actually needs you in order to take over in the first place. Okay, so that's the cyborg side of that. And there's a reason why after 5G, this system after 5G where they want to connect you directly to the internet, there's a reason why I was talking about the limbic system earlier, because it is going to affect those people's limbic systems to where their pineal gland is not going to be able to do nothing for the limbic systems or the lower chakras, and they are going to live. These cybernetic beings are going to be living in the lower chakras. That's where they're going to live, and they're going to be under the impression or under this illusion that they have all of this knowledge and connection and all this and that, and they know everything. But they're only going to be operating from the lower chakras. Okay? So the difference between a cyborg person, an AI infusion, right? And the person that is naturally going through a spiritual change is that you got healers over here. You got psychic abilities over here. You got facts and internet stuff and whatever the government or whoever's running things wants to tell you. You see what I mean? Over here, you're tapped into universal, the most high intelligence. Over here, you're tapped into artificial intelligence. So these energies over here are getting information from God knows who for whatever reason, and they're only operating in the lower chakras, right? So you know that emotions are going to damn near like disappear. They're going to become robots. And you're over here, you still got your emotions, you're able to heal people, you're able to counsel people and all kinds of stuff, and you're tapped into the divine computer, which knows way more than artificial intelligence knows. But they're trying. Okay? So this is what's happening on both sides. And this is why you're going through all these physical changes and everything hurts one day and then you're fine and then you're crying for no reason and blah, blah, blah. Your systems, all of them are being upgraded. All the individual systems in your body are being upgraded. And sometimes one at a time, sometimes multiples at a time. And they're being so gentle with us, even though it don't feel like it, because if this stuff happened in a blink of an eye, if you were transfixed in a blink of an eye, you wouldn't make it. It would be too much, okay? So, yeah. It's literally the difference between, them fake cabbages that you be finding people, it won't burn, and a real cabbage. Like, that's the difference in what's happening. But it's important that y'all know that there are polarities here. And you got to be aware of that. There's a difference between real spirituality and commercialized spirituality. You see what I mean? Not everybody is seeing 1111, but everybody talking about it. Play with me. Okay? Not everybody's doing their shadow work, but everybody's talking about it. You got to know the difference, because confusion is like rampant. Okay? But yeah, I'm going to let y'all go. Wow. That was a lot of information. Hopefully y'all got it though, because man, for a moment, I thought I was all over the place. I probably was, but it's all right. Love you guys. I will talk to you soon. Bear with me. I am still recovering from God knows what, because I don't even know. Okay. I'm not like germ sick though, just so y'all know. Have a beautiful rest of your day.